Cool. We can pick up questions later too if there are any. So our baseline strategy for local businesses, this is average competition, right? And by average, when I talk about competition for local, I'm talking about a couple of different things. I'm talking about the vertical itself, right? The niche. Is plumbers generally a competitive industry? Is dentistry a competitive industry? Is tree service a competitive industry? You're going to know, based on what industries you're working with and what you're focusing on, you're going to know how that falls into the big picture competitive wise. And then the other component to it for local is the actual location. So a given business in Los Angeles is going to be much more competitive than a given business in, like Podunk, Missouri, where I live, right? So you already know that the competitive nature, comparison there is different. So this is where your expertise and knowledge and understanding of your client comes into play, where you decide where they fit in from a competition wise. But on average, you're going to be using 2 releases a month for about 4 to 6 months. When it's ranking where you'd like, then you start backing off to 1 release every 6 weeks. You're going to split your releases between different topics and stacks and sometimes branding. Ideally, you're going to focus on a couple of different topics at a time. And then you don't want to, what you don't want to do is, if you have 15 different topics that you want to cover for that client, you don't necessarily want to just rotate through all of them. Focus on a couple of them at a time, and then when they're kind of at a health level that you like, then you move on to a couple of others. So you're just kind of constantly replacing those. You're linking primarily to GMB, branded assets, and socials. And this is a caveat I've mentioned a lot of times. Be very careful when you use links that you're linking to these share links. Don't use the fancy SEO links that we all know how to get, because those are not things that are natural. When you are sharing a link with a friend, when you are posting a link to social media, when you are doing anything like that, you're going to use a share link. So use the share links as links for your press releases. I can't tell you how many times I see people using carefully crafted technical links that look great, and those are wonderful and all, but they're not natural. We don't want to give Google as much of a footprint to make them think that we're trying to manipulate things regardless of what we're actually trying to do. So don't use those SEO expert links. Use share links as much as you possibly can.